Okay, let's talk about a tropical fruit that's been making some serious waves lately. It's called soursop. You might have heard it hailed as a superfood, but it's also wrapped up in some pretty wild claims, and even some serious warnings. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of the soursop story. So first things first, what does it even taste like? Get this. Imagine a flavor that's kind of like a cross between pineapple and strawberry, but then it has this incredible creamy texture, almost like a banana or a coconut. Sounds amazing, right? And that unique taste is a huge reason it's getting so much buzz. But we're not just here for the flavor. Soursop, which you might also hear called graviola, really is a nutritional powerhouse. The thing is, the conversation around it feels like a real tug of war. On one side, you have its proven benefits, but on the other, you have these huge health claims and some really important cautions you gotta know about.
So let's start with the solid ground. Let's cut through all the noise and look at what we know for sure is packed inside this thing.
So this is it. Soursop is this kind of spiky green fruit, and inside you've got this amazing sweet yet tart pulp. People eat it fresh, they blend it up, some even brew the leaves as a tea. But, and this is super important, so I'm saying it right up front, those black seeds inside, they are not edible. Don't eat the seeds.
First up, the vitamin C content is just wow. A single cup of soursop pulp gives you more than half of your recommended daily intake. That is a massive boost for your immune system, right there.
Next up, it's a champion for your gut. That same cup has about 7.4 grams of fiber. That's nearly a quarter of what you need in a whole day, which is huge for keeping your digestion running smoothly.
And what about heart health? It's got an impressive 626 milligrams of potassium. And to put that in perspective, that's actually more than a large banana. And potassium is absolutely key for helping you maintain healthy blood pressure. So, here's the deal. If you strip away all the hype, you're left with these solid, evidence-backed benefits. The massive dose of vitamin C supports your immune system. All that fiber is fantastic for your digestion, and the potassium is great for your heart. These are the reliable perks you get just from enjoying the fruit. Okay, but what about all those bigger claims? Now we're going to wade into the science of it all. And it's really important here to separate what's just a promising idea from what's actually been proven. Before we go any further, we have to get this one thing straight. Proven in humans, through proper clinical trials, that's the gold standard. That's when you can really say something works. On the other hand, seen in lab or animal studies, that's just an early clue. It's interesting, for sure, but it is absolutely no guarantee it'll do the same thing for people. So, with that in mind, what's the strongest human evidence we actually have for soursop? Well, it comes from a single study on adults who had pre-hypertension, and what they found was that drinking soursop juice every day for 12 weeks did significantly lower their blood pressure and their uric acid levels. Now, that's definitely promising, but it's just one study, so we really need more research to be sure.
And as for all those other popular claims, like that it's a powerful antioxidant or that it can regulate blood sugar, well, all of those fall into that second category. The science has only been done in labs and on animals. The key thing to remember is that human trials are either lacking or haven't been done at all. So for now, these are just potential benefits, totally unproven in people.
This brings us to a really critical part of the conversation. We need to talk about the risks and some of the powerful myths that are floating around out there about soursop, especially the biggest one. So let's just address it head on. You've probably seen the headlines, the social media posts, the ones claiming that soursop is some kind of miracle cancer cure. Is there any truth to that? The answer, based on all the available scientific evidence, is a hard no, an unequivocal no. Yeah, some compounds in soursop have shown they can kill cancer cells in a petri dish, but there are zero, and I mean zero, controlled human trials that support using it as a cancer treatment. Let me be crystal clear. It is absolutely not a substitute for proven medical care.
Now, beyond the myths, there is a real risk to talk about: neurotoxicity. See, the fruit contains compounds that, in really large doses, we're talking from things like supplements or super concentrated teas, have been linked to nerve damage. The key distinction here is about how much you're having. Just eating the fruit in moderation, that's generally considered safe for most people. The risk really comes from heavy, long-term use of these concentrated products.
So who needs to be especially careful? Well, if you're on medication for blood pressure or diabetes, soursop might actually amplify the effects, so you have to be cautious.
Because there isn't much safety data, it's best to avoid it in concentrated forms if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. And of course, if you have any kind of pre-existing neurological condition, you should steer clear. And yeah, I'm going to say it one last time because it's that important. Never ever eat the seeds.
All right, after all those warnings, let's bring it back to the good stuff. How can you actually enjoy this delicious and nutritious fruit safely and smartly? The possibilities here are pretty delicious. You can blend that creamy pulp into a smoothie with some kefir or yogurt. You could fold it into your overnight oats for a little tropical kick. You could even just freeze it as is for a super simple, no added sugar sorbet. And I love this idea. Mixing a bit of it into a citrus salsa to go over grilled fish. Yum. Just one last practical tip. You should know that a cup of soursop does have about 30 grams of natural sugar. To avoid a big blood sugar spike, a great little trick is to pair it with a source of protein or healthy fat. So think about that yogurt or maybe a handful of nuts or some chia seeds. That just helps slow down how quickly your body absorbs the sugar.
So, after looking at the nutrition, digging into the science, and talking about the safety, what is the final verdict? What's the real bottom line on soursop?
Here's what you really need to remember. First, soursop is a genuinely nutrient-dense fruit. It's awesome for its vitamin C, fiber, and potassium. Second, those really dramatic health claims you see online, they are simply not backed by evidence in humans. Third, the smartest and safest way to enjoy it is to stick to eating the fruit itself, not high-dose supplements or teas. And finally, just treat it as a delicious, fun part of an overall balanced diet.
So in the end, soursop is a delicious fruit, not a miracle cure. And now that you know the full story, the benefits, the limits, and the risks, you can enjoy it the right way. So the only real question left is, how are you going to try it?